All right, what's going on, guys? All right, we're all trickling in. That's perfect. Some people I don't think I've met before. Good to see you guys. Hopefully, some more trickle in here. If that's okay. We're gonna make this just a nice little intimate class. This one's gonna be fun. Okay, what's going on? All right.
Hi, Blake. Hi, it's Angela. Blake, can you do, I don't know if you have time, but can you do designs, go over designs for printing?
Okay, cool. All right, I'm just gonna get started. More people are probably gonna trickle in a little bit one by one. This one, right, it's going to be a little bit special, right? We're going to make this one unique. This one's going to be a 2021 marketing plan, right? So, kind of just talking about what's inside a command that we can kind of leverage. I'm going to go off of like if I was just going to do this, I was going to go all in. I'm going to lay out exactly how I would approach this. And then you can kind of take bits and pieces of it, right? Kind of take nods, use it as a little bit of inspiration to, make your own marketing plan going forward. I'll throw this out there, right? If you want to ask questions, feel free just to leave them in the chat or just speak up. We can make this supernatural, right? It's all good. Uh, Feel free to interact. It's going to make it better for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and start, right? So we're talking about our 2021 marketing plan. And first, I'm going to pull up a whiteboard and I'm going to write some words down. Let's see, we've got our text here. Hopefully, this is going to be big enough for everybody to see. Is that big enough? Can I get, I don't know, how does that look? I'm gonna say that looks okay.
Looks good.
Oh, hang on, we got Josh coming in here. Let's see what's up. Come on in. Okay, got it. We'll catch up later. Josh, he's a good guy. You should meet him. So, all right, here we go. We're gonna talk about our 2021 marketing plan. The biggest point that I want to push, right? When we're doing our marketing, when we're coming into command, the best thing for right kind of what we can be promoting is content, right? We can use command as pretty much a content machine to make sure that we always have something going out. I think right one of the most common mistakes we can make is just spending too much time trying to think about these little details. And so if we can make command into like a well-oiled machine where we have this just kind of consistently going out, we're going to set ourselves up for success. So that's going to be my main focus, right? Going into 2021 is focusing on content, right? It's everything. And so what does that mean, right? A couple things. So the first place I want to make a lot of content for, right, of course, is social media. And when I'm saying social media, I'm not talking about one specifically. I'm talking about really getting engaged on multiple platforms and really having a presence, right? I want when people to Google your name, right? When they type in Blake Petska, Los Angeles, I want everything to come up to make it super apparent that I'm a realtor, right? I think that the personal brand aspect is going to be even more crucial year after year. So establishing yourself on a lot of different platforms, I think is going to be super key, right? And so that means a Facebook business page. We're going to make this longer so we can stretch it all out here. And we're going to use command, right? We're going to make content for all of these places. So Facebook business page, perfect. We're going to go and definitely have an Instagram. And so that means making some posts, right? The square for the grid, then also some stories, right? Taking advantage of those different features. So we're going to do Instagram. We're going to make sure that we have IG stories in there as well. And then I'm going to have a LinkedIn page. It's becoming more and more of a trend, right? We're seeing Facebook almost kind of show like little spots of itself on LinkedIn. It's becoming more of a social place where people are just kind of posting these random little things. So it's not so much just about the business network anymore. It's very much opened up. So if you haven't explored LinkedIn ever, or maybe it's been a couple of years since you visited your profile, it's worth circling back to, right? Making sure that it's cleaned up, has your current contact info. People are probably finding your LinkedIn page and you just don't even know about it. So making sure that you have substance there, right? More content, it's going to be really key. So we're going to make sure we have that. So that's our social media piece, right? Naturally, we're going to be making content for our social media. The next piece that we're going to do, right, is we're going to be sending out some emails. I say this reluctantly, right, because I'm very anti-spamming our database, but to an extent, right, there is value in sending out emails to the people around us. The caveat here is that I want to make emails that are interesting, right? I want to make sure that we're providing value through our emails and not just spamming them with, oh, hey, here's this house that I sold, right? We want to make sure that there's something engaging about that. So we're going to kind of look at what we're putting into those emails and how we're kind of directing them. So we're going to take a look at that. After emails, right, I do want to go and make postcards. There is a really cool feature inside of Command where we can actually create and send out the postcards through the system. And I want to make sure that I'm leveraging that as much as possible. It's a huge tool. It's something that can take, literally minutes. So I want to make sure I'm incorporating that into kind of my regular marketing plan. So there's the vision, right? And so let's just go and make a plan from that, right? Obviously, the key is content, but that doesn't mean anything if we don't have a real plan for it. So what I would actually encourage you to do, right, is really kind of let's have a breakdown of your daily, your weekly, your monthly. What's going out on a regular basis? If you're not thinking about that, you're probably a little bit scattered as to what you're putting out there. So if we can be consistent with the content, we have a goal, we're reaching for it, right? Even if we don't hit 100%, if we're putting out, 3 posts a week versus, our goal for 5, we're going to be crushing it, right? We're hitting it out of the park. So I really want to make sure that we're breaking down, right, what we're trying to do daily, weekly, and monthly. So I'm going to go and set a goal here, right? We're going to say daily, right? I want to have 1 post minimum. Okay, and so this could mean anything, right? This could mean maybe it's something on our business page. Maybe we're putting out a story. Maybe we're filming a video that we're going to put out on our LinkedIn about the market. But I want to have something going out on some platform at least every day, trying to conceptualize this, right? And it's not as hard as you would think, right? Because the goal that we're going to go for is creating content that's really versatile, right? That we can use in multiple spaces. So we should always be able to kind of come up with something that we're able to put out there. So we're going to say 1 post minimum, whether that's Facebook, IG, IG stories, whatever that looks like. The other thing that I want to have daily, right? I also want to have at least 1 Facebook ad running. Or no, let's say this, 1 Facebook ad active. Right? If we're using our Facebook lead generation, right? We're doing our sponsored posts, we're going to have leads coming into our database, right? It's a given. It's really a numbers game when we come into that, right? The more leads that we have, right? The more opportunities we have to have real estate conversations. So if I have at least 1 Facebook ad running every day, there's a chance that I'm going to be generating leads 100% of the time. That's really what I'm going to shoot for, right? I'm going to squeeze everything that I can out of social media. So I'm going to make sure that I'm consistently posting content and I have that sponsored post going on the side, right? Even if we're only putting $3, $5 a day, if I have something 100% of the time, that's huge for the business, right? That opens up a whole other door that I wasn't using before. So that's my plan for daily.
Blake, I have a question.
I'm rampaging through this, right? Let me say it again, because I think we had a lot of people trickle in. If we have any questions, right, feel free just to leave them in the chat or speak up. This is super cool if it's interactive, so feel free.
Blake, I have a question.
Cool. I'm just gonna keep running. So stop me if I get off track here. So we have our daily
Blake,
goals.
I have a question.
Then we're gonna go into weekly.
I think he can hear us.
Let's see if we can do it. This is really hard.
He can't hear, right?
Hey, Blake, can you hear?
Oh, look at that. Okay, there's some stuff in the chat. We're gonna go to that first.
I don't think he can hear.
Someone is asking a question. I can't hear. Oh no. I've been sitting here with my my computer muted. That's my bad. I thought it was just a really silent class.
No, can you hear us? Can you hear?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Oh, okay. We heard you.
Okay, perfect. Like my computer was muted, like I had no sound coming out of it.
I had a question. So for when we're in Command and we're trying to do a Facebook ad, like the leads and stuff, I understand that there's a proper protocol that we have to do it through Facebook, through our Facebook business page. My question is, if we're doing it through Command, does Command Automatically do that for you because you're posting that ad, or is it the same type of thing that it would be done through Facebook itself?
Same concept, right? It's still going to go through Facebook. It's still going to go through your Facebook page. And so that's why having that business page is super crucial, right? Because it is still using your social media. And so that's kind of why I think that goes hand in hand, right? Because if we're using those ads on a business page, we want to make sure that we have some substance behind it. And so if we're always, thinking of new ideas to post, right, that's what we're kind of utilizing. But yeah, you do have to use that Facebook business page.
Right. But what I'm saying is, in order for you to get leads, is Command picking your leads, or is
Yeah.
Facebook picking the leads?
Facebook's essentially picking the leads, right? Because we're putting it on that platform just through us, but they're showing up inside a Command, if that makes sense, right?
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Facebook is the one capturing it, but we use Command as the database for it. Hopefully that helps.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Any other questions? Mark cannot hear. Everybody else good? We got good audio? Cool. All right. That makes me feel so much better that I had my sound off. I thought everybody was just really quiet. So if we have any questions, right, feel free to ask. Okay, cool. I'm going to jump back into it here. So we're talking about what we're doing on a weekly basis. So we want to make sure that we have something switched up every week. And I'm going to say this is for an email newsletter. And so I want to actually go and look at this newsletter, 2 T's, 1 T. I'm going to go 2 T's. We're doing an email newsletter, right? I want to make sure that I have something consistent that I can kind of stick to. And so that means, right, having some sort of concept that I'm just constantly switching out. Whether that's, right, I'm going to talk about, news stories. I'm going to talk about featured properties. I want to talk about neighborhood stats, maybe that I'm pulling from the MLS. I want to have some sort of idea that, my email newsletter is based around. And we're going to break through that. That's actually what I'm going to build out. We're going to do one of those emails. But that's my plan. So even if this isn't an email newsletter, right, maybe you want to do like an actual paper newsletter that you mail out, maybe you flyer a neighborhood. I want to have some sort of piece of content that I'm generating going out on a weekly basis. So that's the avenue I'm choosing. All right. And then on a monthly basis, all right, I want to have a postcard going out. So whether this is about properties, right, whether this is about, a neighborhood snapshot, giving different statistics like, average listing price, days on market, I want to have that going out on a regular basis, right? Something that I can commit to, right? So I'm going to do 12 postcards all through 2021. And that's the number I can kind of look to. And so this is going to be my calendar, right? This is really how I'm going to attack kind of my strategy for what I'm doing on a regular basis. Because then once I have this kind of a plan, it's really easy now to sit there at the beginning of the month and say, okay, I'm going to do an email newsletter this day, this day, this day, right? I'm going to do my social media post this day, this day, this day. And then you can just be a lot more purposeful about what you're putting out there. And inevitably, you're not going to have to spend as much time on it. All right, perfect. So now, right, one of the hardest things, I think, right, it's kind of coming up with content, right? Getting a little bit of writer's block, getting a little creative funk, right? Not knowing where to go with it. And so that's why I really want to kind of look at what the value proposition is, right? What do you have to offer that we can kind of spin and turn into content? And if you don't have anything that really sticks out, right, we're going to look to KW and the tools that they provide that we can then kind of translate to our clients. One thing that, if it hasn't become very obvious, right, that KW is kind of basing all of this technology around is neighborhoods. So if you've looked around, right, you might see things like, right, the monthly neighborhood nurture, right, the neighborhood snapshots. We're using this data from Nextdoor, right? I don't know if you guys have heard of that app, right? But they have all the boundaries for different neighborhoods throughout LA and the country. So because we're taking those boundaries and laying them over our data, we're getting these really cool snapshots and different pieces that we can then kind of share to our clients. So this is one thing that I see as just a slam dunk as far as consistency, because the numbers are always going to be changing and those boundaries are always going to be there. So if we're looking for some content, right, like for our email newsletter, where we want it to be consistent, but we want it to be different, we can say, okay, here's our featured neighborhood of the month. And then the areas that we work, right, we can kind of, showcase different features of each neighborhood. And then once we use that, right, maybe we do 6, we start over, we use those neighborhoods again, and it's going to be completely different, right? There's other things that we can focus on. There's other statistics that we can highlight. There's other, coffee shops around a neighborhood that we can pop into. There's going to be ways that we can, cycle content. So I'm definitely going to be focusing on that neighborhood view. I want to just kind of start to incorporate that into just my regular language. So neighborhoods are what I'm doing this on for sure. Let's go number 2. Right, next thing I'm going to do it on is search. People have house brain, right? It's just a fact, right? People want to look at Zillow. People want to look at homes for sale. I think I saw this data, right? So I'm going to say it like I know it, but Zillow, right, was actually one of the most used apps during this pandemic alongside TikTok and YouTube and Facebook, right? People are very much into looking at homes. Through Keller Williams, right, we actually have a really amazing search tool through our free custom websites and through the KW app. So I'm going to go and use my position as a realtor, right? I have my own ecosystem where people can search for homes, right? And there's definitely these little unique features about it, right? We can, look by different neighborhood views, right? We can do the draw and look at different areas. I'm leveraging this because this is unique to me. And there's different features like scheduling video tours, right? Which I can leverage out and actually have a real call to action. So anything having to do with search, I'm definitely going to be promoting that, right? I'm going to use that as a piece of my value proposition because I have my own search site. Speaking of that, right, the third piece that I'm going to go into, right, that I'm going to use religiously is this idea of virtual and video showings. This is huge, right? It's contactless, virtual, all of that. It's trended upwards. I think the number from MegaCamp, what was it? 300%, right? We're seeing an increase in these kinds of search queries. I want to make sure that I'm utilizing, right, things like Matterport tours, the video tours that I can schedule on my site, leveraging this kind of idea that we're doing things a little bit differently now. I'm going to talk about this a little bit next week and then here we go. We're going to plug it right now. Next Wednesday, 10 a.m., I'm going to be doing kind of the same concept of this 2021 plan, but rather than marketing, it'll just be straight, daily activities through Command. And one of the things I'm going to touch on is, right, it's the follow-up. One piece of follow-up that has just been crushing it lately is when I'm talking about virtual and video showings. When I respond to a Facebook lead and say, hey, I know with COVID, showing houses can be a little bit weird, but just to let you know, I can FaceTime you and give you a video showing. I've gotten crazy responses from that, especially in this last month. And I think it's just because that's the world that we're living in, right? People want those capabilities. So when we're advertising that that's something that we can do, it's going to resonate with people. And so I want to lean into that as much as possible. And it kind of just goes hand in hand with my search. When
you're doing a virtual showing, are you showing it because you're at the property right at that exact moment? Is that what you're doing? It's exactly. It's not like a Android pre-recorded video. It's like, because you're actually there.
Exactly. Two totally separate things, right? I would say a virtual tour is when you have a Matterport done and you're clicking around, you're going throughout the house. A video tour, you're literally just going to be on FaceTime or Zoom, walking them around the property. It's not a crazy concept, but it's something super valuable that we can offer, right? So obviously we want to kind of mitigate, right? Not wasting our time here, but when we can offer to go to a property, walk them around on Zoom, that's an easy 20-minute activity that kind of just gets you in front of these people and gives you more opportunity. So it's literally just getting it set up through FaceTime or Zoom. And we have that capability through our website where if we're sending them properties, they can respond that they want to take a video tour of a certain listing. They put the time, they put the platform, and then it kind of just gives you permission to engage.
That's all offered through our website and through our app?
Exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah, 100%. Let's see, any other questions before I kind of jump into it here? All good? Let's see, are there some in the chat? Let's see what we got.
It's like something, I have a listing that I try to do the same thing, do the FaceTime with the client that wanted to see it.
Mhm.
And then the internet connection was not good. So I end up having to videotape it and text it to her instead.
That's not bad, right? Definitely things like that could happen, right? There's a bad connection. But yeah, I think what you did is perfect, right? Just take a video kind of walking around the house, kind of explaining things. And there's a lot of value in that too. I love that. Thanks for
Now I
sharing.
have that. So if somebody else asks for it, I can just send it over.
That's perfect. I love that actually.
Yeah.
Very cool. I had a question about the neighborhoods, and we are unfortunately stuck to the next door boundaries. It's a little bit limiting, but for the most part, right, 90% of the time, it's going to work out. Yeah, unfortunately, we're kind of stuck there. I know I hear it a lot where it's like they want, problems with, how boundaries, kind of drawn out, especially as we kind of go outward, right, kind of away from, the city. We are a little stuck there for sure. I'm going to go ahead and jump into it though. I want to go to command if we don't have any other questions and kind of show how we're doing some of this stuff, right? So let's just go and jump into Google Chrome. Right, as always, this is super important when I'm talking about we're going into Google Chrome, especially because I'm going to be going into the Designs tab. Designs is where we can actually kind of create a lot of content and make these personalized graphics, but it's only going to work if I'm using Google Chrome, right? If I'm using Safari, you could probably use other parts of the system. Designs is the one tab that's going to give you issues. So just make sure we're using Google. So this is what I'm doing, right? We talked about right at the beginning, right? The main thing that we're doing is creating content. So I'm going to want to make sure that I'm dedicating a good amount of time every week, not too much, right? But an hour, 2 hours to jumping into this design section and playing around with all the kinds of graphics that they have. All right, I've done these classes before. There's definitely videos if you need kind of more of a 101, but I'm going to go and walk through this a little bit here. So let's just go and do this. We're in the Designs tab. I'm going to go and look on the bottom right-hand corner and use this green plus sign as a way to get into the templates, right? So I'm going to go green plus sign in the bottom. We're going to create a design. I'm going to go with social, right? We're going to do social graphics. That's kind of the main kind of thing here. And then we're going to hit next. So this is going to redirect us to this page, right, where we have all of our templates laid out. This is everything that Keller Williams has provided. And so we're free to come in here and make some changes, add logos, make this our own. If we look here, right, we're on our app, but we have things like for listings, right, the classics, for sale, just listed. We also have some that are a little bit more niche, right, like the local expert, the neighborhood snaps. Also under lead generation, really great ones like Keller Mortgage, right? The 0+ loan is a huge piece of this. Actually, right, when I'm talking about the 3 pieces of content that I'm creating, right, when I mentioned neighborhoods, search, and virtual showings, when I did this class last year, the 3rd piece was Keller Mortgage. And I think that still plays, right? It's definitely not as relevant as the virtual showings, but this idea where we have our 0+ loan and it's through us, that's a huge value add as well. So I'm definitely keeping an eye on that. Right, we keep going down the list here. We do have like the holiday greetings, like your standard, let's see what's coming up. Christmas, it's a big one. So we have our Christmas, we have our Hanukkah kind of IG stories, right? We also have them just for regular social media. These are always updated. And that's where we really see the value in this, right? When we always have these new designs coming in, it's just a content machine of different things that we could be posting on social media. So let's just go ahead and create some now. I'm going to focus right now on what's the neighborhood snaps. And so we have these, right? They're both under listing and buyers. The wording is just a little bit different on each. So for listings in our neighborhood snap, right? These social graphics are going to say things like, your market's on the move, looking to sell in Barton Hills. Things are heating up in Barton Hills, looking to sell in Barton Hills. And then if we go the other way with it, right? We go buyer neighborhood snap. We're going to see things kind of more tailored towards, right? Obviously buyers. We're going to see, will your next move be to Barton Hills? House hunting in Barton Hills. Picture yourself in Barton Hills. So we get to actually kind of decide the strategy that we want to go with it, right? Do we want to target sellers? Do we want to target buyers? Kind of what do we want to do? I would go ahead and maybe do buy, especially if this is something that I want to kind of have, habitually come up, in a newsletter. If I'm, advertising these different neighborhoods to buy in, maybe that's a little bit more intriguing and it resonates a little bit more. Obviously, right, marketing towards sellers is huge, but something that maybe a little bit more practical. So I'm going to go to buyers, neighborhood snaps, and we see, right, if we go along the top here, we actually can choose the different formats. So I mentioned earlier, right, we want to make sure we're on as many platforms as possible, right? We want to cast a really wide net. So we can do something for Instagram stories. We could do something for Instagram itself, right, just with a square. This is what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to use a square one because I want this to be a little bit more versatile. I want to be able to put this on Instagram, but I'm also going to be able to turn around and put this inside of an email blast, right? I can use this as kind of just a nice piece of content. So I'm going to go ahead and click into this one, and we're going to use, house hunting in Barton Hills. So I click use, then we come to this part, right? I'm going to give just like a quick little demo, right, on how to do this because I think it's super key. So we're going to edit this design, right? We're just going to go piece by piece, kind of swapping out that content, making it, whatever's right for us. So let's just go ahead and get into it. I'm going to go ahead and click on the text first, right? Because this says house hunting in Barton Hills, obviously not what I'm trying to do. Let's just go and say we're going to do this around Beverlywood. So house hunting in Barton Hills, I could triple click into this, and then you see I start having this like ability to edit the text. If that proves to be too much, right, this is the one thing that you should take away from this class right now. If you're editing the text in this, we click on that text box, and then up at the top here, right, we see all these different options. We can change the font, the size. There's this box right here in the middle. It's called typewriter, right? When we click into this, it actually just gives us a better way, right, to edit the text. So it's a lot easier to come out and swap with what we want without it being too, cumbersome here. So house hunting in Beverlywood, perfect. We see, right, this actually ended up on the line below because the box is just a little bit too small. So I'm just going to drag it out on the side until I have, what I'm looking for. Perfect. All right, I can change the text if I want to match that to my font. I think we're good to go. So then, right, we see this, right? It's the data, it's the neighborhood snap. That's like really what we're going for here. So we're actually going to be able to swap this out with whatever neighborhood that we want by going into the KWLS. All right, hopefully we've seen this before. So I'm going to actually go, right, the first tab is actually listing. If we see that, right, KWLS listing. And this is where we can actually search for any property address that's on the MLS and pull photos up. So I actually do want to do that really quick in Beverlywood. Let's see. I don't know. I don't have an address there. Let's see. I think we can go. We're going to try this. Okay, we're going to go by listing agent. Should have been more prepared. That's okay. We don't need to do that. Not super necessary. I was trying to find something in Beverlywood, but right, we can pull up that listing and then we can actually use those photos. What I'm actually going to use though is what's right next to it where it says snapshots, right? This is where we're going to get that neighborhood data from. So I can actually just search by my neighborhood name here, right? I'm going to go neighborhood by Beverlywood. And when I do that, right, I'm going to see Beverlywood, Los Angeles pop up here, along with the data that's going to match up for that certain placeholder. And we see here, right, this is the two things, and maybe what I would recommend, rather than searching by neighborhood name, you can go by postal code, and then we can search a little bit more broad. So if the neighborhood lines aren't exactly perfect for what we're looking for, right, maybe we can kind of zoom out a little bit, go for a zip code, and then kind of hone in on that neighborhood kind of more specifically. Was there a question? I think I might have heard somebody talking up there.
Yeah, like, so if we use the zip code here, then in the first box that you change the text, then instead of Beverlywood, do we put the zip code?
Your call. You could, yeah, you could definitely say house hunting in 90046, or you could be a little bit more broad, right? Because instead of 90046, you say Hollywood, West Hollywood. You're not zoned in too much. You could say
Gotcha.
house hunting
Gotcha.
Westwood, because Westwood brings up 10 different neighborhoods, but
Yes.
zip code, right, it covers a few of them. So you could be a little bit more broad.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Okay, because let's say if I want to say house hunting in Westwood,
Mhm.
then in this section, snapshots,
Mhm.
I don't know if I can find Westwood or
Right. See, like when we type in Westwood, that's a lot, right? Because there's a lot that are like actually more specific. So that
Exactly.
in that case, maybe it's not the worst idea to go by postal code for sure.
Gotcha. So, okay. So we can have Westwood on the right, and then on the left, we can just put the zip code information.
I think that plays. I think that works for sure.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Cool. All right, so I'm going to go Beverlywood here. I think I did by postal code, so we're going to switch that to neighborhood name. I spelled that way wrong. Here we go. All right, so we have our Beverlywood here, and what we're going to do is find, right, the style that matches up to whatever we have in our design. So in this case, right, it's that long vertical one. So what I'm going to do is actually just click on my element right here, right? We click on that snap, and then when we hover over this, we're going to see an option to replace image. That's what I'm going to do, right? 10 times out of 10, I'm going to replace image, and then our snapshot is going to be placed here instead, right? Beverlywood with all of those listing prices. This is also going to work, right? If we just drag and drop, we can drag it over, kind of if you see it, how that works there. But replacing image, always a good way to go. So then, right, we can definitely change out the image here. I wish I had an image. That's okay. But we can actually go through images, right? We can upload our own. So maybe if we're working in that area, right, we have a listing photo, we can pull that in. Or, right, we can go to the company, and under the company tab, we have a lot of stock images here that we can choose from. So we could find some neighborhoods or some house exteriors that kind of match the feel that we're going for. And then we can just kind of roll with that. See, they have kind of a wide variety here, so we're not too locked into anything. So this one with the pool, right, looks nice. So I can actually just click on the image, right, the same way that we swapped out that neighborhood snap. We can click on the image, and then over the image itself, we can hit replace. And then now we have a nice little image here. And then we can just kind of roll like that. So, right, last piece, we do have this logo here at the top. I can take that out. For my social media, right, I could definitely add my own logo, but possibly if I'm going to be using this in an email blast, I don't necessarily want it with the logo. So I could do one, right, where I do have a logo involved. And so what I could do, right, let's say this is completed. I've edited all of my elements. I'm going to go top right corner and then just hit download. Hopefully everybody can see that. Maybe on your Zoom that's covering, but there's a download button there. I'm going to hit it. And then for our options, right, we have a JPEG, a PNG, or a PDF, right? I'm going to go JPEG 9 times out of 10 when I'm doing this, and then just hit start download. And so here we go, preparing. Then we'll see that the download will be ready. And then now I have it accessible inside of my computer, right? So now I can bring it into LinkedIn. I can bring it into Instagram. I can kind of move this around however I want. I'm also going to take a copy where I don't have the logo in there, right? Maybe we move this up a little bit, and this will be now my content block for my email itself. So I'll go ahead and download this one as well. And now I have 2 versions of this graphic, right? One with a logo, one without. And so we can use them a little bit differently. And so now this is my favorite part about this, right? If we really spent some time here, right? We really kind of nailed down the look of this. We made it very personally branded to ourselves. We can now use this graphic over and over and over again, right? That's where the consistency comes in. So rather than doing Beverlywood, right, now we can maybe pivot a little bit and do, Culver City, right? We can do View Park. We can kind of start to move things around, but I can use this as a template. So I can come up here, right? We actually can rename our template, and we can call this, right, our neighborhood snap. And so next week, right, when I'm spending on Sunday 2 hours to create content, right? I can just come back to this template. And let me show you how this works now, right? So we're gonna hit save on this. I'm gonna go back to that template screen that we were looking at. And right, so these are all of our templates. And we see up on this tab, right, we're on templates. But if I go over to my designs, this is actually everything that we've created ever inside of Command, right? A lot of different designs. And we also see that we have the ability to add folders here. So if I actually come in here, right, on the right-hand side, we can say new folder. And we're gonna call this one, right, our regular social graphics. And so we now have a folder where we can take our design and literally just drag and drop it in, so that every week I open this folder up and then I can start to make changes to those graphics that I've already put the time in on, right? I've adjusted the fonts, I've brought in my own colors, I've added my own logos, and then just repetitively, right, we can dive in and dip from that little bucket. Any questions on that?
Yes, I have a quick question. Where exactly I'm doing it with you, so right now, where exactly do I go if I wanna create something for my client since it's Hanukkah and it's coming up so soon?
Yeah.
Where can I find it? I got a little lost.
Definitely, yeah. So let me just review it one more time, because that's exactly what I was going to hit on next, right? Are the holiday ones. So
Yes.
if I'm on agent.kw.com, right, I'm going down to my designs tab. And if I click that KW at the top left, we see all of our applets here. And so I'm going under designs.
Okay.
When I'm on this designs tab, I'm looking in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm clicking that blue plus sign.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to hit social. And then I'm going to hit next.
Oh my gosh, there is so much information. That's so good.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of a great note, right? There's a lot to take in here, right? There's a lot of different little functions and features, and you're probably not going to learn all of them, in this hour block. Take this class as just kind of like a little bit of an inspiration to go dig around and find more, right? Make this really unique to you and find what works, because it's not going to be all of it, but if you can take a fraction, right, it's going to end up working out for you.
Hey, Blake,
Yes.
are there how-to videos that we can follow for each section?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so that's a great point, because I think that's really the strategy I would take here, right? This is going to be a 40-minute webinar where we're talking about, all kinds of things. So if you have a plan and you're like, okay, so now I want to make, right, a neighborhood snap graphic, we can actually just search YouTube and say, right, KW command, how to make neighborhood snap graphic. YouTube's going to be the best place to really just get down to these nitty gritty little things and learn how to do, right, one thing at a time. So we can come to our girl, Lori Ball in here, right? She made a 10-minute training video about how to do the neighborhood snaps. Marty Miller, 6-minute video on how to do the neighborhood snaps. This is really where you can get into the nitty gritty of how to do things, right? Search on YouTube, search on KW Connect. But in my experience, right, YouTube is going to be able to find those searches a little bit easier for you. So then we could click on this video and learn exactly how to do that. And this is going to apply for pretty much everything, right? KW command, how to create opportunity. Plethora of videos here, right? The ones that I'm going to focus on, Marty Miller does a good job at this. Lori Ballin does a really good job at this. Also Nick Baldwin, KW command, Nick Baldwin. He's probably one of the best, right? I'm actually going to put a link to his channel inside of the chat. He's definitely one of the most consistent as far as putting out new things. So this is a great place to kind of get little snippets, right? You're talking about smart plan triggers, help your clients with Keller Mortgage. This guy is really good. He's actually the tech director for KW Michigan, right? That kind of area. Really smart guy. So I'm going to put that link in the chat right now. Feel free to check that out. But that's definitely a great resource if I'm looking just for little bits of information to kind of jump onto. Hopefully that helps.
Blake, is this going to be recorded on YouTube?
Yes, yes. And check the emails. Alfredo actually linked to the KWBH YouTube channel on his, regular email that he sends out. Alfredo's been doing a really good job, kind of posting everything. So even if you wanted to see last week's class on Facebook ads, right, you can go check that out on his channel right now. If Alfredo's around, we'll see if we can drop that link in the chat too.
I have one other question.
Sure.
It seems like there's a couple of different KW addresses, like website addresses.
Uh-huh.
Which is there a main one that we should be using generally?
Definitely, right. So the main one right now is agent.kw.com, right? That's command. That's really where everything is going to be housed, right? From our business management, our website, the designs, it's all there. The only other website that I would really focus on right now is KW Connect. Agent.kw.com, KW Connect. Those are going to be your two portals to almost anything. And so we see that's broken right now. So that's super cool. So I'm going to go to kwconnect.com directly. There usually is a link just right here on this tab. Not working for some reason right now, but that's okay. We're going to go google.com and then we're going to go KW Connect. And let's see. Here we go. Here's the homepage. So KW Connect, this is the only other website that I would even have on your brain, right? This is where we're going to find all of our resources, our scripts, the videos. Like right now we're streaming Track Your Leads and Follow Up with Ease. That's a great title. I really want to steal that actually, but it's also probably a great class that KWU's put out there. So the reason I brought this up, right, is because we may remember mykw.kw.com, right? The intranet. That is being phased out, right? We're trying to do away with that. But there are still a few things that we may need there. So KW's actually done a really good job. On KW Connect right now, we see these 5 things right here: reports, white pages profile, Gmail settings, listing and productivity tools. These are the 5 pieces of MyKW that are still lingering out there in the ecosystem. So rather than having to go to another site for 5 things, they put them here. So if you needed to manage your KW email, right, we just click on Gmail settings, and then it's just kind of a hot link there. Same thing with the KWLS, right? We could go to listing and productivity tools, and we have access to the KWLS, Green Sheet, Teams Administration, right? We can go to the KWLS directly. So the only 2 sites I'm really worried about, agent.kw and kwconnect.com. That's all. Actually, I'm going to throw a wrench in the gears real quick. One more site that may be useful to you, right? And that's answers.kw.com. Answers.kw.com is probably going to be really useful as you're digging in more and more, and you need kind of those one-off answers, because this is essentially, it's a Zendesk, right, for support. So we can come in here, we can say, okay, command, I need help. Let's see, creating an opportunity. Okay, perfect. Now, right, I have an article to see videos, right? There's a little kind of step-by-step checklist. It's kind of giving me a little bit of guidance here, right? They have all kinds of articles like this, right? The other one, manage your opportunities. We can kind of go deeper and deeper. That's the only other one I would worry about.
Okay, less deep for a second. Back to, where do you look for holiday templates?
Gotcha. Did we get away from that?
Yep.
Okay. So, right, we're going social graphics. Are you with me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Then from here, right, we see all of our templates lined out, and this is where we're going to find them, right? We can go deep into templates, and usually new designs is going to be where we find that, right? So under new designs, we do have, our social stories, our squares, and the wides. But we also, right, under our lead generation, they have the holiday greetings. And so that's like the standard place for them. But 9 times out of 10, they're going to show up under new designs. Cool. Good to go?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So that's what I was going to kind of touch on, right? Under new designs, the holiday ones, these are great, right? That knocks out one post for the week when we can, utilize one of these. But also, right, they put these out where it's 5 money-saving home improvement projects. Stay K like a pro. I know they had one where it's like, pieces of a home office. And we look under pivot shift ahead and we see a lot more like that, where they've kind of just given us the content now for all of this. Let's see what we got. This one's a anatomy of a perfect home office. Kind of just these little cute things, right, that we can throw out there.
Does it give you the caption too?
So on here, they don't give you the caption, but that's a great point, right? So let me kind of segue into this. So I'm actually going to be using command to send a lot of this out. When I'm doing my campaigns here, right? I'm under my campaigns tab. Hopefully I didn't shift gears too quick there, right? Because this is actually going to be how I post to social media. So I'm under my campaigns tab. I'm going to go to social posts, and then that's where everything can really start to be brought together. And so I kind of made this segue quick because they actually do have these social posts that they call quick posts. And so I could come here and, all right, let's take a look at this one. So this one, it has a graphic, but then the caption actually does come with it. So they do provide a little
Nice.
bit of content to go along with it.
Nice.
This doesn't coincide hand in hand with like the new graphics, but it's something nice. And then it's really cool because we can actually like shuffle these, right? So they have a few that we can choose from, and we can come in here and schedule these out.
Well, if we need a quick post, I think that's perfect because like to come up with the right words for every single
Sure.
post, it could be a little, if you're like me and you want to convey yourself as a professional and you want to make sure that you're doing it right, how we were talking about today's morning,
Yeah.
or, it can be a little, make you stall a little bit because you put a lot of thought into it.
Fair enough, right? That's definitely a part of it. And yeah, I guess the best thing I could say, right, just kind of use your voice. Definitely you want to kind of make sure that you're being professional with it, but when you're writing this and it comes off as you, I think that's when you really win with this. But social posts, they're definitely great. These little quick posts, they're quick abilities for sure. But I bring this section up, right, because under social posts, this is where I want to manage a lot of this. And I'm going to mute real quick. Hang on. All right. Perfect. So I'm using these social posts, right, as a way to kind of manage for the week. And if you can get really familiar with this section, it's really key. So we actually see, right, this is a week breakdown. So we're dead in the middle today, Wednesday, but we see, right, we have the rest of the week lined out. And so under this little list here, right, we see each day. So here's Thursday, here's Friday, and then here's Saturday. So if we're wanting to make our post for Friday, I can actually just hit create a social post. And so then, right, I can write my text, but then this is what's really key here, right? I can actually just choose from designs. So I could browse that design library. I clicked on something too quick. There we go. There's our graphic that we were just adjusting. I think, yeah, I'm gonna do this again. Right, browse design library. And then here's our Beverlywood one that we were just dealing with. So then I could click on this, it'll bring it in. And then now I can queue this up to go out on Friday, right? And then to go along with it, I can, definitely add some text there. And then now that's gonna be good to go, right? I could actually have this scheduled out. And that's where this is key, right? It's going for Thursday because that's the date we clicked on, but we can obviously make this whatever date we want. And then we can adjust the time as well, right? Morning posts, always going to be best. And then we can choose which channels that goes on. Right now, it only supports Facebook and Twitter, which is, it's good. We want to make sure that we have content going out there, but then that does leave a little bit up to you to kind of put content out on Instagram and LinkedIn. Great feature though. Can't recommend it enough. Perfect. Any questions from there?
Is there some sort of scheduling app or something that you know of that will let you post to Instagram and LinkedIn in a scheduled fashion?
Yeah, I didn't want to bring it up, but Buffer. This is actually what I'll use personally to update the Keller Williams LinkedIn and then the Facebook as well. So this is a paid account. I think it's like $15 a month, but it does let you go Instagram and LinkedIn. So if you want to kind of step it up to the next level, right, you can definitely do this. Otherwise, definitely just utilize what we have inside of Command. So I'll use like kind of a steady mix of both of these. So for my Facebook, if I'm using the designs, which sometimes does happen, I'll just go through Command directly. But right when I want to schedule something onto the link onto LinkedIn, I go through Buffer. That's what I use personally. But there's a thousand sites like this that are post schedulers. So I'm gonna plug in. Cool. Any other questions? Okay, cool. So next I want to talk about, right, kind of being a little bit more purposeful and kind of linking everything together. So this goes, right, when we're making our posts, right, on Facebook, but also, oh man, and we're gonna have to do like a part 2 to this one to talk about emails a little bit more. But when I'm making our email newsletters as well, right, kind of what are we doing inside of these? And so I'm gonna do this, right? Hopefully I don't lose too many people here. I'm gonna go and let's just say that we're setting up an email to go out. I do definitely have a class. Check the KWBH page to see like a full overview of this. But right, if we're designing an email, I can actually start to integrate some of what we're doing with the designs and what we're putting on social here as well. So let's go and find a template. I just want to do like a classic. Oh man, we're going to talk about all of this next week. It's going to be really good. But let's just say like we're doing one, right? It's going to center around like a just sold, but then we're going to include other layers to this, right? So let's just go ahead and, right below this, we're going to start to actually customize this, right? We see all these great kind of content pieces on the side here. We can use and integrate. So I'm actually going to, let's just say we have this as our just sold. Perfect. I'm going to use my text box. I'm going to create like a new heading here almost. Right. And so I click into this. And then over here, we're going to say like, okay, here's our, feature. Oh, we lost it. Try one more time. We're not giving up. There we go. So this is going to be our featured neighborhood of the week. All right. And then we're going to go and definitely make that a little bit bigger. Bring that up to a 27-point font. And then maybe we could center this, make it a little bit bigger, and we can do whatever we want here. Centered. Let's do just a touch bigger. And we can hit done. All right. And so then, right, just like we did for that content, we're going to use our image and put that image right below. And so I love this, right, because it's going to bring up images that we've used in the past. So once we've done this once, we can actually start to bring them in multiple times. You'll see that one that I actually have in here is for the video tours playing on the website, kind of pushing people to download their app. But what I'm going to do is actually just add in images. And then I'm going to pull in that image that we downloaded. Remember, we did one with the logo, one without. So I'm going to pull in, right, now my one without the logo. And then that's what I'm going to use right here inside of my email. And this is our featured neighborhood of the week. So now that's gone on my social, but I'm also putting it in my email blast for this week as well. And then I'm going to take this a step further, right? Because this is great. Okay, cool. We have this really engaging social post, but what does that mean? That doesn't translate to anything. So what I want is I want to guide these people to kind of engage a little bit more. So I'm actually going to use the button, right? We use text, we use image. Now I'm going to use button. And I'm going to put that just right below, right? We can definitely edit this. We can add, we can change the size. We can do a little bit of a border. We can, edit this, make it our own, but we can choose this button to say, explore neighborhood. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what that did. We're going to want to make this a little bit bigger. Perfect. All right. And so now editing this, right, we have a button that says explore neighborhood, and we see this is really an interesting caveat, right? Link to. I'm always going to want to be linking off to different things throughout my entire email, right? Whether that's our listing, I want to link off to a landing page, or here in this case, right, our featured neighborhood of the week. When we hit explore neighborhood, we want that to go to a web address. And what I want to go with this is actually leading them to my website, right? blakepetska.kw.com, right? Everybody here has that free KW site. Different opinions may vary, but right, what it's really good for is the search function. And so if we're not leading them to our homepage and we can actually get them into the site, I think that plays, and we can actually get a lot of people engaged with us. And so, like I said, right, the neighborhoods are what's so key about this. So I can search for my neighborhood of Beverlywood. And then I have this, right? All the homes that are for sale inside of Beverlywood. And this is actually one of my favorite features of the websites, right? We have these breakups of neighborhoods, but if I look here, explore neighborhood, this is going to give me a page dedicated to Beverlywood. It's going to show me the different stats. It's going to show me the homes for sale. It's even going to show me where to get the best shawarma in the neighborhood on the Yelp page itself, right? Down here, we're seeing, you know, best places for food, arts and entertainment. We're kind of seeing the makeup of the neighborhood. We see what locals are saying about it. We see the statistics, and it's just kind of a fun view. And I love this, right? Because now we could take the URL for this neighborhood. I'm gonna copy this, and then we bring it into our campaign. And this is the web address that I'm now linking off to. So now, right, on my email, featured neighborhood of the week, house hunting in Beverlywood, we see these statistics. It's a nice little preview. Then when we hit explore neighborhood, right, it's taking them into our ecosystem. They see this really nice page for Beverlywood. It formats really well on mobile, and then they can start looking. And if we see, right,
before we close the file,
somebody's getting muted. Let's see. Sorry. Okay, perfect. So now, right, this is the key, right? We brought them here to look for the neighborhoods, but naturally, right, we talked about this, people have house brain. When they start to see these different houses down here, naturally, there's going to be people that start to click around and look at these different houses. And now, right, they're now deeper into our ecosystem. They're either searching for homes on our website, or if they're on their phone, they followed the prompt to actually download our app from the App Store. So now they're on our phone, kind of just deeper in searching. If I'm doing this consistently, inevitably, right, we're going to find people inside of our ecosystem. If we're sending out emails that link off to those neighborhood pages, maybe we take that link and we include it on our social post, right? When we're putting this out there, like, oh, explore the full neighborhood. Then we link to our website. This is something that's replicable, right? We can do this every single week with a different neighborhood, circle back around, and that's really engaging content that I guarantee not a lot of other people are putting out. That's just kind of the first part of it, right? Because then we dive a little bit deeper and we see that we can actually, you know, ask our agent about the listing or schedule a video tour. That's where this thing comes full circle, right? All these different elements that we're going to be advertising, they're all connected, and it just gives you this really versatile platform where you can start to really kind of identify your own brand. Let's see, I think I actually have to wrap up. I think Ignite's coming up. Does anybody have any questions? No questions.
No question, but this just last part, if you could maybe another day.
Yes,
go over it in
no,
more
I
detail,
hate it.
that would be great.
I had to kind of go through that. Next week, right, I'm talking a lot more about kind of our daily activities. The emails plays into it because we can actually now design emails that we plug into smart plans. So when we're kind of identifying a track to follow up, we can now have our custom designs, our videos included. So I'm going to be going into this a lot deeper next week. So definitely kind of tune in for that. Otherwise, check out the YouTube channel for KW Beverly Hills and check out you know, the recent weeks for Facebook ads, emails to kind of get those bigger topics. Otherwise, right, I got to wrap this one up. So sorry, but you know, definitely kind of tune in, engage, play around with Command, start to make those plans, and then, you know, find out just specific questions about, you know, how to do this, how to do that, and things will really start to come together. Sorry if this one was just a little bit rushed, but definitely tune in next week. We're gonna have some good stuff. Otherwise, you guys have a great rest of your week and enjoy your weekend.
Thanks,
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Blake. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.